Hello guys, once again, very welcome to my YouTube channel Tech Skill 01, and today we are going to cover the topic and very important topic, that is OSI model. In the competitive exam or in your professional life, this topic is very important of networking, and OSI model is one of them. So you cannot get away with this topic because it is very important topic. You have to understand it. So let's start it. What is OSI model? So OSI model stands for Open System Interconnection. Is a reference model that describes how information from a software application in one computer moves through a physical medium to the software application in another computer. OSI consists of 7 layers, and each layer performs a particular network function. OSI model was developed by the International Organization for Standardization in 1984, and it is now considered as an architectural model for the intercomputer communication. So OSI model divides the whole task into 7 smaller and manageable tasks. Each layer is assigned a particular task. Each layer is self-contained so that tasks assigned to each layer can be performed independently. Now look at the characteristic of OSI model. Characteristics of OSI model. Now we will go from top to down. If you see, first one is application layer, presentation layer, session layer, transport layer, network layer, data link layer, and physical layer. If you count this layer, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 layer. And if you see here, from this application, presentation, session, and transport layer, it is the responsibility of the host. Okay, and this network layer, data link layer, and physical layer is the responsibility of the network. So here it is the partition of the responsibility. Who is doing what responsibility? So now the OSI model is divided into 2 layers, upper layers and lower layers. The upper layer of the OSI model mainly deals with the application related issues, and they are implemented only in the software. The application layer is closer to the end user. If you see here, we are talking about this application layer which is close to the end user. Both the end user and application layer interact with the software application. An upper layer refers to the layer just above another layer. The lower layer of the OSI model deals with the data transport issues. The data link layer and the physical layer are implemented in hardware and software. The data link layer and physical layer, it means these 2 layers, deal in hardware and software. The physical layer is the lowest layer of the OSI model. If you talk about this, is the lowest layer of the OSI model. Lowest layer of the OSI model and is close to the physical medium. The physical layer is mainly responsible for placing the information on the physical medium. Now, 7 layers of OSI models: the physical layer, data link layer, network layer, transport layer, session layer, presentation layer, and application layer. If you come here, you'll see, first we come to this, we see from here, application layer. This layer provides the service to the user. Now its presentation, it is responsible for translation, compression, and encryption. The session layer, it is used to establish, manage, and terminate the session. Then transport layer, it provides reliable message delivery from process to process. Then network layer, it is responsible for moving the packets from source to destination. Then data link layer, it is used for error-free transfer of data frames. And lastly, it is physical layer. It provides a physical medium through which bits are transmitted. So now we'll look into detail. The first one, physical layer. We are going from top to up. So this is the physical layer from data link layer. Then L2 data, then this bit conversion, the transformation medium. Again it's bit representation in the physical layer, and then going up L2 data and to data link layer, and this is the transmission medium. So here if you look at the physical layer, the main functionality of the physical layer, this is the functionality of physical layer, is to transmit the individual bits from one node to another node. So these are the individual bits. As you can see, it is the lowest layer of the OSI model. It is the lowest layer of the OSI model. Okay. It establishes, maintains and deactivates the physical connection. It specifies the mechanical, electrical and procedural network interface specification. Now see what is the function of physical layer. Line configuration. It defines the way how two or more devices can be connected physically. Data transmission. It defines the transmission mode, whether it is simplex, half duplex, full duplex mode between the two devices on the network. You would have heard about these duplex, simplex, half duplex in your college days, in your professional college days. Now the topology defines the way how network devices are arranged. What are their arrangement, like in ring arrangement or a bus arrangement. So there are many methods to define a network structure. So another is signal. It determines the type of signal used for transmitting the information. Second one is data link layer. Here you can say from network layer L3 data, then in data link layer you can see T2S2, it's a frame, then bit representation to physical layer, then from physical layer bit representation, then going up frame, data link layer T2S2 and L3 data to transport layer. This layer is responsible for error-free transfer of data frames. It defines the format of the data on the network. It provides a reliable, efficient communication between two or more devices. It is mainly responsible for the unique identification of each device that resides on a local network. It contains two sub-layers. Logical link control layer. It is responsible for transferring the packet to the network layer of the receiver that is receiving. It identifies the address of the network layer protocol from the header. It also provides flow control, media access control layer. A media access control layer is a link between logical link control layer and network physical layer. It is used for transferring the packets over the network. Function of the data link layer. Framing. The data link layer translates the physical raw bit stream into packets known as frames. The data link layer adds the header and trailer to the frame. The header, which is added to the frame, contains the hardware destination and source address. Header, packet and trailer. The physical addressing. The data link layer adds a header to the frame that contains destination address. The frame is transmitted to the destination address mentioned in the header. Okay. Flow control. Flow control is a main functionality of data link layer. It is the technique through which the constant data rate is maintained on both the sides so that no data get corrupted. It ensures that the transmitting station, such as a server with higher processing speed, does not exceed the receiving station with lower processing speed. Now, error control. Error control is achieved by adding calculated value CRC, cyclic redundancy check, that is placed to the data link layer trailer. This is the trailer. So CRC put here. It's a cyclic redundancy check that is placed to data link layer trailer, which is added to the message frame before it is sent to the physical layer. If any error seems to occur, then the receiver sends the acknowledgement for the transmission of corrupted frames. Access control. When two or more devices are connected to the same communication channel, then the data link layer protocol are used to determine which device has control over the link at a given time. Third is network layer. You see the diagram from transport layer, the data is coming, its network layer is S3 packet, L3 data coming here to the data link layer. From again, if you are receiving from data link layer, L3 data packet, network layer to L4 and to transport layer. It is three layer that manages device addressing, tracks location of devices on a network. It determines the best path to move data from source to the destination based on the network condition, the priority of service, and other factors. The data link layer is responsible for routing and forwarding the packets. Routers are the layer 3 devices. They are specified in this layer and is used to provide the routing services within an internetwork. The protocols used to route the network traffic are known as network layer protocols. Example of protocols are IP and IPv6. Now see the function of network layer. Internetworking. Internetworking is the main responsibility of the network layer. It provides a logical connection between different devices. Addressing. A network layer adds the source and destination address to the header of the frame. Addressing is used to identify the device on the internet. Definitely on the internet, how will you know what is the address, where to go, where to come from, and for that addressing is required. So for the messaging purposes, for the transmission, addressing must be there. Another is routing. Route is a major component of the network layer, and it determines the best optimal path, means best path out of the multiple path from source to the destination. Now comes to the what is the optimal path. There may be multiple paths to reach from source to target. There may be different path, there may be one path, two path, three path, four path, but we have to choose a path which is cost effective as well as will take less time, where the traffic is low and the cost is minimized. So that path is called the optimal path. Okay, now come to the packetizing. A network layer receives the packet from the upper layer and converts them to packets. This process is known as packetizing. It is achieved by the IP, yani ki it means Internet Protocol. Now come to the transport layer. Here you can see from session layer data coming. This is transport layer, header 4, header 4, header 4. Now you can see its data to network layer. On the receiving end, if it's true, from network layer, this is the data it converting into this you can say packets or transport layer, and then to the session layer, the all data is going to the session layer. If you see here, the transport layer is a layer 4, ensure that messages are transmitted in the order in which they are sent and there is no duplication of data. The main responsibility of the transport layer is to transfer the data completely. It receives the data from the upper layer and convert them into a smaller unit known as segments. As you can see, these are the segments. It breaks down the data into segments. This layer can be termed as end-to-end layer, as it provides a point-to-point connection between source and destination to deliver the data reliably. The two protocols used in this layer are Transmission Control Protocol, TCP. You can call it TCP. So it is a standard protocol that allows the system to communicate over the internet. It establishes and maintains the connection between hosts. When the data is sent over the TCP connection, Transmission Control Protocol, then the TCP protocol divides the data into smaller units known as segments. Each segment travels over the internet using multiple routes, and they arrive in different order at the destination. The Transmission Control Protocol reorders the packets in the correct order at the receiving end. Now, second is the User Datagram Protocol. User Datagram Protocol. User UDP, it is also called UDP in short form. User Datagram Protocol is a transport layer protocol. Okay, and it is also a transport layer protocol. These two are transport layer protocol. So it's a transport layer protocol. It is unreliable. Important thing, it's unreliable transport protocol, as in this case receiver does not send any acknowledgement when the packet is received. Packet means the data packet. The sender does not wait for any acknowledgement. Therefore, this makes a protocol unreliable. If someone is sending data and receiving is not sending acknowledgement that the data has arrived, and also the sender is don't care about the acknowledgement whether the data was received by the receiver or not, it means if there is a data loss in between the sender and the receiver, nobody knows that. It means it's unreliable. Other thing is function of transport layer. So service point addressing. Computers run several programs simultaneously. Due to this reason, the transmission of data from source to the destination not only from one computer to another computer but also from one process to another process. The transport layer at the header, and if you see the transport layer at the header, and that contains the address known as service point address or port address. Service point address or port address. The responsibility of the network layer is to transmit the data from computer to another computer, and the responsibility of the transport layer is to transmit message to the correct process. Okay. Now segmentation and reassembly. When the transport layer receives the message from the upper layer, it divides the message into multiple segments, and each segment is assigned with a sequence number that uniquely identifies each segment. When the message has arrived at the destination, then the transport layer reassembles the message based on their sequence number. Now come to the connection control. Transport layer provides two services: connection-oriented service and connection-less services. The connection-less services treat each segment as an individual packet, and they all travel in different routes to reach the destination. A connection-oriented service makes a connection with the transport layer at the destination machine before delivering the packets. In connection-oriented service, all the packets travel in single route. Flow control. The transport layer also responsible for flow control, as it is performed end-to-end rather than across a single link. Error control. The transport layer is also responsible for error control. Error control is performed end-to-end rather than across the single link. The sender transport layer ensures that messages reach at the destination without any error. Now we are coming to the close and session layer. Okay, so here you can see from the presentation layer, we are getting data. This is the session layer, and you can see here the multiple synchronization. This is H5 header, and here we receive the data to transport layer. Then from transport layer, data again moving to the session layer. It is dividing into multiple SYN, and it's H5 header, and then from them it making the data to the presentation layer. So it's a layer 3 in OSI model. The session layer is used to establish, maintain, synchronizes the interaction between communicating devices. Function of session layer: dialog control. Session layer acts as a dialog controller that creates a dialogue between two processes, or we can say it allows the communication between two processes, which can be either half duplex or full duplex. Synchronization. Session layer adds some checkpoints when transmitting the data in sequence. If some error occurs in the middle of the transmission of the data, then the transmission will take again from the checkpoint. This process is known as synchronization and recovery. Presentation layer, 6 layer. From application layer, data we receiving in the presentation layer. It is encoded, encrypted, and compressed data, and with header means it is having the destination. Then it's the data. From the session layer, data receiving, and in presentation layer decoded. Here it was encoded, at the receiving at it is decoded, decrypted, and decompressed data, and this is the header, and data is sent to the transport layer. So the presentation layer is mainly concerned with the syntax and semantics of the information. Syntax and semantics of the information exchange between two systems. It acts as a data translator for network. Session layer. We're talking about session layer. The layer is a part of the OS operating system that converts the data from one presentation format to another format. The presentation layer is also known as the syntax layer. Okay, so we are talking about the presentation layer. Okay, now function of presentation layer is the translation, encryption and compression. We will look it into detail. The process, first we see the translation, the process into system exchange the information in the form of character, string, number and so on. Different computers use different encoding methods. The presentation layer handles the interoperability between the different encoding methods. It converts the data from sender-dependent format into a common format and changes the common format into receiver-dependent format at the receiving end. Now, see encryption. What is encryption? Encryption is needed to maintain privacy. The first and important thing. It is for privacy. Encryption is a process of converting the sender transmitted information into another form and send the resulting message over the network. It means it changes the data so that if somebody get data in between, he or she will not be able to get the comprehension of the data. They will not know what this message is all about because they cannot read it, because it encrypted, it's changed. Now come to the compression. Data compression is process of compressing the data, means squeezing the data. It's for the transportation purpose. It reduces the number of bits to be transmitted, making the things uh, less heavy. Data compression is very important in multimedia such as text, audio and video. So if we talk about the multimedia, then the role of data compression is very important. Now come to the application layer, and it is the last layer, seventh layer. Here you can see the user is interacting with the application layer. Okay, so this is the sender, and you can see X.500, FTM, X.400, and then it's sending the data to presentation layer. Then from presentation layer, data comes to application layer and going through this X.500, FTM, X.400, and then from here user is receiving the data. So user, you can see, is interacting with this application layer. So the application layer serves as a window for user and application processes to access network service. It handles issues such as network transparency, resource allocation, etc. An application layer is not application, but it performs the application layer function. This layer provides the network services to the end user. The function of application layer, you can see FTM that we were talking about, file transfer, access and management. An application layer allows a user to access the files in remote computer, to retrieve the files from computers and to manage the files in remote computers. Second one is mail services. An application layer provides the facility for email forwarding and storage. Direct services. An application provides the distributed database sources and is used to provide the global information about various objects. So this was all about the OSI model. One of the most important topics was it. Now look in a summary. There are 7 layers. If you can see, application layer, presentation layer, session layer, transport layer, network layer, data link layer and physical layer. Top layer is application layer, bottom layer is physical layer. Physical layer about how the data is stored in physical medium, how it is transported in a physical medium. Now come to the application layer. It is interacting with the user. Okay, if you see the bottom layer, from application layer to transport layer, it is the responsibility of the host. Host means who is providing you the service. Okay, and second one is responsibility of network. It is the responsibility, and the lower three layer, network layer, data link layer and physical layer, all these three comes under the responsibility of network. So this was all about the OSI model. Hope you have liked this video, and for more content Please like, subscribe, and share this video. We'll come with more uh, mm, technical topic. Although I'm taking help from other documents found on the internet, but I present them. And thank you very much for the being with the video, watching the video. Meet you. Take care. Till then, bye bye.